I moved on her, actually. You know, she was down in Palm Beach. I moved on her, and I failed. I'll admit it.
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today we're counting down our picks for the twists, turns, and unexpected moments that occurred just ahead of major U.S. elections. While October surprises have technically occurred since the 1800s, we'll only be looking at such surprises that happened after the term itself was coined. That is, in October 1980.
And this is why he needs to be recalled. And this is why I'm going to run for governor of the state of California.
Number 10, the 2022 midterm elections.
This is still a lie because she's the mother of my child. So you're going to see me a check or somebody giving a check. So that I'm saying it's a lie.
Herschel Walker, who was the Republican nominee for Senate in Georgia in 2022, first rose to prominence as an NFL running back. The political hopeful played for the Dallas Cowboys, Minnesota Vikings, Philadelphia Eagles, and New York Giants across 12 seasons. Just a few days had elapsed in October before the race's surprise came to light. Walker, a married man who had taken a hardline anti-abortion stance, was reported to have pressured multiple women to have abortions.
I have no idea what that can be for.
Is that your signature on the check, though?
Let me see. It could be. But it doesn't matter whether it's my signature or not.
Walker's son Christian, a conservative influencer, publicly criticized his father's parenting on social media, which damaged Walker's family values-focused image. The former NFL player lost the election to incumbent Senator Raphael Warnock.
I would say I love my son Christian. I love my whole family. I'll always love them and stuff. That's what I say for my son Christian. And I don't have any violence.
Number 9, George W. Bush versus Al Gore.
Obviously, there's a report out tonight that 24 years ago, I was apprehended in Kennebunkport, Maine for a DUI. That's an accurate story. I'm not proud of that.
Sometimes an October surprise doesn't happen in October at all. While indeed the term is usually reserved for newsworthy events that occur in the month of October, it can refer more broadly to such an event that happens immediately in the run-up to a presidential, midterm, or other election. For example, consider the quote-unquote November surprise that occurred mere days before the 2000 U.S. presidential election.
I was pulled over. I admitted to the policeman that I had been drinking. I paid a fine, and I regret that it happened. But it did. I've learned my lesson.
Thomas J. Connolly, a Maine defense attorney and perennial political candidate, leaked that then-Governor Bush had been arrested in Maine for drunk driving in 1976. Bush confirmed the allegation almost immediately, but nevertheless went on to win the election.
As I mentioned, to many of you know that I quit drinking alcohol in 1986, and it was the right decision for me to make then.
Number 8, George W. Bush versus John Kerry.
I can make America safer than President Bush has made us. And I believe President Bush and I both love our country equally, but we just have a different set of convictions about how you make America safe.
If either the Bush or Kerry campaigns thought they were out of the woods by the end of October, we sincerely hope they weren't holding their respective breaths. After weeks free of scandal, the 2004 October surprise finally dropped. A New York Times expose revealed the disappearance of explosives from an Iraqi warehouse.
September the 11th changed how America must look at the world. And since that day, our nation has been on a multi-pronged strategy to keep our country safer.
While the Kerry campaign was quick to accuse President Bush's administration of bungling the weapons safekeeping, Bush's administration countered by claiming that the Times reporting was incorrect. The surprises weren't finished yet. On October 29th, 2 days after the Times article was published, Osama bin Laden released a video claiming responsibility for the September 11, 2001 attacks.
The U.S. government has committed acts that are extremely unjust, hideous, and criminal through its support of the Israeli occupation of Palestine.
Number 7, 2018 midterm elections.
The drama unfolding south of the border tonight. President Trump watching very closely, and he has already made it very clear he will make this a major issue just 2 weeks now until the crucial midterms.
While the Trump administration was no stranger to scandals and intense public scrutiny, events leading up to the 2018 midterms were denounced even by some in right-wing media. This October surprise stemmed from caravans of Central American migrants aiming to seek asylum and refuge in the United States by crossing the Mexico-U.S. border. President Trump himself tweeted disinformation about the caravan, which was then echoed by a number of prominent Fox News hosts, with one major exception. That would be Shep Smith, who suggested that Trump's intention was to generate public fear and outcry to his party's benefit.
Take your camera, go into the middle, and search. You're going to find MS-13, you're going to find Middle Eastern, you're going to find everything. And guess what? We're not allowing them in our country.
Number 6, the 2006 midterm elections.
My fellow citizens, at this hour, American and coalition forces are in the early stages of military operations to disarm Iraq, to free its people, and to defend the world from grave danger.
The War on Terror, initiated by George W. Bush's administration in response to the tragic events of 9/11, was a deeply unpopular endeavor, spurring massive anti-war rallies worldwide, as well as among the United States allies. It's no surprise, then, that it played a large role in elections held under Bush's presidency. 2 studies published in The Lancet, a highly reputable medical journal, focused on casualties in Iraq. Les Roberts, the lead investigator in both, admitted that the timing was purposeful but not partisan in nature. Around the same time, Republican Representative Mark Foley's inappropriate messages to underage congressional pages were leaked. This may have been common knowledge among certain Democrats and Republicans, further eroding public trust in both major parties.
Democrats are now in charge in the House. They needed 15 seats to retake the majority. They won, at latest count, at least 28 seats. And they took the Senate, too, winning the 6 seats they needed to claim a bare majority.
Number 5, George H.W. Bush versus Bill Clinton.
Your trust is what gives a president his powers of leadership and his personal strength. And it's what I want to talk to you about this evening. For the past 3 months, I've been silent on the revelations about Iran.
President Ronald Reagan's administration, despite widespread popularity, was haunted by the Iran-Contra scandal, in which the U.S. government illegally sold arms to Iran, despite the arms embargo against the country. While the scandal itself officially ended in 1986, the repercussions trickled down, eventually hurting the presidential campaign of George H.W. Bush, Reagan's vice president during the scandal.
Why doesn't he just speak to us as he has in the past when we've faced troubles or tragedies? Others of you, I guess, were thinking, what's he doing hiding out in the White House?
Caspar Weinberger, Reagan's Secretary of State, was indicted for his participation, which included facilitating the transfer of weapons and lying to the counsel charged with investigating the affair. While this occurred in June, a steady information leak revealed that incumbent President Bush had played a more significant role in the deal than anyone had thought, costing him the election in November. Number 4, the 2003 California gubernatorial election.
Just enjoy every moment. This is the best job you'll ever have. Even the bad moments, enjoy it.
I think that we can continue on with a great relationship here, and a working relationship. I will need the governor's help in the future. There's many things to learn here when you come into this office.
Plagued by a series of scandals and general voter unhappiness, California Governor Gray Davis was the subject of a special recall election. A first for the state, and only the second gubernatorial recall election in American history. However, that wasn't even the most surprising part. That would be the candidacy of one Arnold Schwarzenegger, who had long teased his political ambitions.
And this is why I'm going to run for governor of the state of California.
2 stories served as October surprises in this case. One accused the actor of multiple allegations of misconduct, and another reported that he had once praised Adolf Hitler while promoting the documentary Pumping Iron. Schwarzenegger would go on to win the election and serve 8 years as governor, ultimately retiring from politics to return to Hollywood.
How are you, Sheriff?
Old.
Number 3, Donald Trump versus Joe Biden.
For years, President Trump has battled to keep the truth about his finances out of the hands of Congress and away from the American public. A sweeping new report from the New York Times shows why.
A recurring issue that nagged at President Trump's re-election campaign were frequent calls, from both sides of the aisle, to release his tax returns. Eventually, this resulted in 2020's October surprise, which was the New York Times reporting that Trump paid only $750 in taxes between 2016 and 2017. Some weeks later, Forbes reported that the 45th president was over $1 billion in debt.
So how did the president do it? By declaring, according to Times analysis, hundreds of millions of dollars in losses. Losses that Trump then used to avoid paying the IRS.
In addition, Trump, along with First Lady Melania Trump, was revealed to have tested positive for COVID-19, possibly the result of a super spreader event. In this case, Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett's induction ceremony. Trump ultimately lost the election to former Vice President Biden. Number 2. Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton.
I moved on her, actually. You know, she was down in Palm Beach. I moved on her, and I failed. I'll admit it.
October 7, 2016 was an extremely fateful, extremely consequential day for both major U.S. political parties. On that day, the infamous Access Hollywood outtake clip was leaked, which unearthed audio of then-nominee Trump using highly offensive language to describe his advances on women. Political figures on all sides condemned the recording's contents, with some even suggesting that Trump should step down as the Republican nominee.
I better use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her. You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
The Democrats were hardly free and clear. John Podesta, who chaired Clinton's election campaign, was the victim of a data breach, which saw the contents of his email account leaked. The leaks were damaging to the Clinton campaign and may have ultimately contributed to her loss to Trump.
They did release a statement today saying the following: the State Department has made clear that Hillary Clinton's actions were made in the best interest of American foreign policy and that she never made decisions because of donations to the Clinton Foundation.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Ronald Reagan versus Jimmy Carter. Remember when we outlined that we'd only be looking at October surprises that occurred after the term had been coined? Yeah, this is the mother of all October surprises. The 1980 U.S. presidential election occurred in the shadow of the Iran hostage crisis. Both Iran's government and incumbent President Jimmy Carter, who was running for re-election, announced that the hostages would not be freed until after the election. The Reagan campaign feared that Carter would leverage the situation as a means of garnering votes. Allegations persist to this day that they colluded with Iran to delay the hostages' release. The allegations have never been proven, and 2 separate congressional investigations revealed no evidence of such a plot. Which October surprise shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments.
I play the Terminator, but you guys are the true Terminators.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.